The ocean has always been a place of mystery. Its surface glitters with sunlight, but beneath lies a silence that has swallowed countless lives. And in one stretch of sea, between the calm shores of Florida, the shadowed islands of Bermuda, and the warm currents of Puerto Rico, silence becomes something else entirely. They call it the Bermuda Triangle, a name whispered like a warning, a region that has devoured ships, planes, and entire crews, leaving no trace, no wreckage, no bodies, only questions. Imagine it. A pilot takes off under a clear blue sky, his instruments working perfectly, his voice calm as he radios back to base. Minutes later, static fills the airwaves. Then, nothing. The plane vanishes. Not a flare, not a call for help, not a single piece of debris. Or picture a massive cargo ship, its hull loaded with supplies, its crew seasoned by years at sea. The voyage is routine, the weather calm. But when it drifts into the triangle, silence follows. The ship never arrives. The crew is never seen again. And the ocean, as if mocking every search party sent after it, offers no answers. For decades, this stretch of sea has been marked on maps as if cursed. To some, it is a place where the laws of nature bend, where compasses spin wildly and time itself seems to falter. To others, it is a place touched by something far darker, a realm where human logic collapses under the weight of the unknown. But what truly lies in those waters? A natural phenomenon waiting to be explained? Or something beyond science, beyond reason? A mystery designed to remain unsolved? Tonight, we descend into that abyss. We will trace the disappearances that birthed the legend. We will follow the voices of pilots, sailors, and survivors who swore they saw the impossible. We will confront the scientists who sought answers, and the skeptics who demanded proof. And in the end, we will return to the silence of the ocean, where the Bermuda Triangle still waits. Because the real question isn't what the triangle is. The real question is why it refuses to give anything back. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle did not begin with a single event. It grew, piece by piece, from stories of ships that sailed into its waters and never returned. One of the earliest tales dates back to September 1492, when Christopher Columbus crossed the Atlantic on his way to the New World. In his journals, Columbus described strange lights flickering on the horizon, lights that moved unnaturally across the sky. He noted how his compass began to behave erratically, its needle drifting away from true north. His men grew restless, whispering of omens. Though Columbus pressed onward, those first recorded accounts planted the seed of something uncanny in this stretch of sea. But the legend did not remain a faint shadow in an explorer's diary. It grew darker with time. Fast forward to March 1918. The United States Navy cargo ship, the USS Cyclops, vanished without a trace. Over 300 men were aboard, along with thousands of tons of manganese ore. The ship was massive. The weather was reported as calm and the radio silent. When it failed to arrive at its destination in Baltimore, the Navy launched the largest search operation of its time. Not a single piece of wreckage was found. No distress calls. Nothing. To this day, the Cyclops remains one of the greatest naval mysteries in American history, and one of the Triangle's most enduring ghosts. The ocean had taken, but it had given nothing back. And then came the skies. December 5th, 1945. a date etched into the Bermuda Triangle's mythology. On that day, Flight 19, a squadron of 5 Avenger torpedo bombers lifted off from a naval base in Fort Lauderdale. The training mission was routine, a simple triangular course over the Atlantic, then back to base. The pilots were experienced, the planes in good condition. But within hours, radio transmissions revealed something was very wrong. "We can't find West. Everything looks strange. Even the ocean doesn't look like it should." Those words crackled over the radio, tinged with confusion. The compass readings had gone haywire. The pilots could no longer determine their position. As the sun began to set, panic edged into their voices. "We can't be sure of any direction. Everything is wrong. Strange." The last transmission came with eerie finality. "We're not certain where we are. The ocean looks different. It looks wrong." The squadron disappeared. All 5 planes, gone. The Navy dispatched rescue aircraft immediately, and one of those, a massive PBM Mariner, vanished as well, along with its 13-man crew. Again, no wreckage was ever recovered. The disappearance of Flight 19 was more than a tragedy. It was a turning point. Newspapers seized on the story. Writers painted the Bermuda Triangle as a graveyard of ships and planes, a cursed zone where the ordinary laws of navigation broke down. And the legend began to spread across the world. By the mid-20th century, the Bermuda Triangle was no longer just a stretch of ocean. It was a question mark on the map, a place where entire machines of war could be swallowed whole, where skilled pilots could lose themselves in clear skies, where silence replaced explanation. And behind every headline, one question pulsed like a heartbeat. What force could make entire fleets vanish into nothingness? After Flight 19, the legend of the Bermuda Triangle no longer lurked in whispers. It roared into the public imagination. Newspapers filled their front pages with chilling headlines. Radio shows speculated about magnetic fields, alien abductions, even time warps. And yet, as the decades unfolded, the Triangle offered fresh tragedies to feed the myth. One such case unfolded in 1948. A passenger plane, the Douglas DC-3, was en route from Puerto Rico to Miami. 32 souls were aboard. The weather was calm, the night skies clear. The pilot, Robert Lindquist, radioed that all systems were normal, and he expected to land on time. Minutes later, silence. The plane never arrived. Despite an intensive search, neither wreckage nor bodies were ever recovered. It was as if the sky had swallowed the aircraft whole. The following year, another passenger plane, the British South American Airways Star Tiger, disappeared with 31 people on board, vanishing mid-flight between the Azores and Bermuda. Not long after, its sister plane, the Star Ariel, vanished on a similar route. These weren't small crafts piloted by novices. These were well-maintained aircraft flown by experienced captains, operating in clear weather. And yet, both disappeared without distress calls, without debris, without explanation. The Triangle was claiming not just military craft, but commercial flights, civilian lives, entire families. Stories began to spread among sailors and pilots who passed through the region. Some reported strange lights skimming across the horizon, darting too quickly to be aircraft. Others swore that their compasses spun wildly, refusing to settle on north. One naval officer described a sudden wall of fog, a gray shroud that engulfed his ship, where radio signals died and the sea grew unnervingly still. When the fog lifted, His instruments showed he was miles off course, as if the ship had been pulled across the ocean in moments. The accounts varied, but their undertones matched: confusion, disorientation, fear, and a sense that the triangle was watching. As the 20th century pressed on, popular culture magnified these mysteries. Books with titles like The Deadly Bermuda Triangle and The Limbo of the Lost appeared on shelves, each more sensational than the last. Authors described the region as a portal, a gateway where time and space collided. Hollywood soon followed, weaving the triangle into films, television, and documentaries, cementing its place in global folklore. But beneath the sensationalism, one truth remained constant. People were disappearing, and the ocean refused to explain why. The more stories emerged, the more the Bermuda Triangle transformed. It was no longer simply a geographic zone on a map. It had become something larger, a symbol of humanity's helplessness against the unknown. A reminder that even in an age of compasses, radios, radar, and satellites, there are places where we are not in control. And the questions only grew sharper. If storms or accidents could explain these losses, why was there never wreckage? If human error was to blame, why so many in the same patch of sea? If nature alone was guilty, why here, and nowhere else in the world with such persistence? The silence of the Bermuda Triangle became louder than words, and in that silence, whispers spread, of forces beyond the natural. Some spoke of lost civilizations beneath the sea, others of alien bases, hidden deep under the waves. A few dared to suggest that the triangle was not a place at all, but a phenomenon, a tear in the very fabric of our reality. Whether myth, mystery, or something far more unsettling, the Bermuda Triangle had earned its name. As the mystery deepened, scientists began to push back against the stories. They argued that behind every strange disappearance, there had to be a rational explanation. Yet each attempt to solve the puzzle seemed only to add new layers of intrigue. One of the earliest and most persistent theories involved magnetic anomalies. Pilots and sailors alike reported that their compasses spun or drifted odd when entering the triangle. Normally, compasses point toward magnetic north, not true north. But in rare areas of the world, the two lines align perfectly, creating what's known as true north variation. The Bermuda Triangle is one such region. Could this be the answer? Scientists suggested that inexperienced pilots, unaware of this anomaly, may have miscalculated their routes, leading them fatally off course. On the surface, it made sense, but it did not explain the sheer scale of vanishings, nor why experienced navigators, trained to handle such conditions, would still lose their way so completely. Then came the theory of methane hydrates, vast frozen gas deposits beneath the seafloor. In certain conditions, these hydrates could destabilize, releasing massive bubbles of gas that rise rapidly to the surface. If a ship happened to be above such an eruption, the water's density would drop, causing the vessel to lose buoyancy and sink almost instantly. For aircraft, methane released into the atmosphere could cause engines to stall. It was a chilling image. Entire ships swallowed in seconds, with no time to send a distress signal, no trace left behind. But critics pointed out that while methane hydrates do exist in oceanic deposits, evidence of such catastrophic releases in the Bermuda Triangle is thin at best. Another explanation came from the sea itself. The triangle sits in one of the busiest oceanic corridors, where warm waters of the Gulf Stream surge with tremendous force. Sudden storms, towering rogue waves, and waterspouts can emerge almost without warning, powerful enough to capsize ships or tear aircraft from the skies. Some researchers argue that many disappearances could be attributed to these violent but natural events. And yet, skeptics face a stubborn question. If storms and rogue waves are to blame, why is the Bermuda Triangle singled out? The Pacific and Indian Oceans see equally fierce conditions, yet they lack the same mythos of vanishing without a trace. Then there are the more speculative, but strangely compelling, scientific ideas. Some physicists have suggested that the triangle could sit above a magnetic vortex, or even a region where Earth's natural electromagnetic fields behave unpredictably. Others propose that the seafloor's unique geology may interfere with sonar and radar, disrupting navigation in ways we don't fully understand. Still, none of these theories, from methane bubbles to magnetic pulls, explains the eerie uniformity of silence. Why do so many of the triangle's victims fail to send distress calls? Why are their wreckages so rarely recovered? The skeptics argue that the mystery is more myth than reality, that disappearances in the triangle are statistically no higher than anywhere else in the world's oceans. The U.S. Coast Guard has officially dismissed the legend, calling it a manufactured mystery. In their view, the triangle is nothing more than a dangerous oceanic corridor where human error, bad weather, and heavy traffic combine to create tragedy. But if that's true, why does the Bermuda Triangle cling to the public imagination so fiercely? Why do the stories of vanished ships and ghost planes refuse to die? Because sometimes facts are not enough. Sometimes the silence of the ocean speaks louder than science. And sometimes, people who survive have stories that science cannot explain. For all the theories offered by scientists, the Bermuda Triangle has something they cannot dismiss so easily: the testimony of those who made it out alive. Take the case of Bruce Gernon, a pilot who in 1970 flew from the Bahamas toward Florida. Mid-flight, he encountered what he later described as a time tunnel, a swirling gray cloud that formed a perfect corridor around his plane. Instruments flickered, radar went blank, and for minutes he felt suspended in a strange glowing mist. When he finally emerged, he radioed air traffic control, only to be told something impossible. His aircraft had appeared on radar far closer to Miami than it should have been. Somehow, in minutes, he had covered nearly 100 miles. Gernon swore until his final days that he had experienced a phenomenon outside of time and space. To skeptics, it was a flight error, perhaps weather interference. But to believers, it was evidence of something far stranger, a rip in the fabric of reality itself. Other pilots have reported similar accounts: compasses spinning wildly, clocks running strangely, or skies that seemed to shimmer with colors not of this world. Sailors, too, told of sudden walls of water, rising out of calm seas, as if conjured by unseen hands. From these accounts grew the more paranormal theories of the Bermuda Triangle. Some believed it was a time warp, a natural gateway to another dimension. Others claimed the region was home to an alien base, hidden deep beneath the ocean floor, where UFOs could emerge and vanish at will. And then there was the most enduring legend of all: Atlantis. Writers in the 20th century seized on the idea that the Bermuda Triangle lay above the ruins of a great lost civilization. Advanced technologies buried beneath the sea, they argued, could still be active, interfering with ships and planes, drawing them into the depths. To skeptics, it was fantasy. To storytellers, it was irresistible. By the 1960s and 70s, the Bermuda Triangle had transformed from a maritime mystery into a global phenomenon. Books like The Bermuda Triangle by Charles Berlitz became bestsellers, selling millions of copies worldwide. Berlitz's work painted the triangle as a place of cosmic danger, blending eyewitness accounts with paranormal speculation. Soon, the phrase Bermuda Triangle was etched into popular culture, a shorthand for the unknown. Television documentaries followed, dramatizing the disappearances with shadowy reconstructions and ominous narration. Hollywood joined in, using the triangle as the backdrop for thrillers, horror films, even science fiction adventures. It was no longer just a patch of ocean. It was a stage upon which humanity's fear of the unexplained could play out. And yet, beneath the spectacle, real families grieved. Real names were etched into naval records, real aircraft listed as lost. For every sensational headline, there were wives who never saw their husbands return, parents who never buried their children, brothers who never found closure. The Bermuda Triangle was both myth and mourning, both story and scar. And as the decades passed, one truth remained unchanged. No matter how many theories scientists proposed, no matter how many books and films were made, the sea itself never answered. The triangle kept its secrets. The Bermuda Triangle stands today as both a mystery and a mirror. A mystery because its stories defy neat explanations. A mirror because it reflects back something far older than modern science: our fear of the unknown. Skeptics remind us that ships and planes disappear all over the world. They point to human error, violent weather, and the sheer unpredictability of the sea. They tell us the triangle is no more dangerous than any other busy corridor of ocean. On paper, their arguments carry weight. The Coast Guard, the Navy, and countless researchers have published studies declaring the triangle a myth, a legend inflated by imagination and coincidence. And yet, the legend endures. Why? Because the Bermuda Triangle is more than a place. It is a story. A story built on unanswered transmissions, vanishing signals, and ocean depths that swallow evidence whole. A story that no chart, no statistic, no skeptic can erase. Think of the USS Cyclops, 300 men, gone. Flight 19, 5 planes and a rescue craft, gone. The DC-3 with its passengers, the Star Tiger, the Star Ariel, all vanished into skies that were clear, seas that were calm. These are not numbers on a page. These are names, voices, families. And for them, the silence of the ocean remains unbroken. Maybe one day, technology will strip away the mystery. Maybe satellites, drones, and deep-sea scans will find what storm and current have hidden for centuries. Maybe the Bermuda Triangle will collapse into simple explanations. But maybe not. Because there are still pilots who swear they slipped through something not of this world. Sailors who describe fogs that swallow entire ships. Families who, even decades later, feel that absence not as statistics, but as ghosts. And the ocean does not speak. Perhaps the Bermuda Triangle is nothing more than coincidence. Perhaps it is an intersection of natural dangers, storms, waves, magnetic quirks that strike with cruel precision. But perhaps it is something else. A reminder that for all our science, all our satellites, all our maps, the Earth still holds places that refuse to be known. And so ships will continue to sail those waters. Planes will continue to cross that sky. Some will arrive safely, never thinking twice of the shadow they passed through. Others may not. And when the next disappearance comes, when another voice crackles over the radio, confused, lost, desperate, the world will once again look to the same patch of ocean, the same cursed coordinates, and ask the same question humanity has whispered for centuries. What really waits inside the Bermuda Triangle? Until the sea decides to answer, we may never know.